Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our masterclass teacher for the evening, author, life coach, speaker. Sabrina L. Donegan knows firsthand the impact grief and trauma has on one's ability to find moments of gratitude. At the age of 3, Sabrina witnessed her father being taken to prison and then later died from HIV and end-stage renal disease. At the age 13, her sister drowned in her presence. And at age 30, her mother passed away suddenly from cancer. In addition to the experience of abortions, legal struggles, depressions, and suicidal ideations, Sabrina is now, 4 years later, inspiring others to live a life of gratitude after grief and trauma. As the author of Naked Truth, a guided journal through grief and gratitude, Sabrina provides the following tips on preparing for grief, surviving grief, and overcoming grief. Sabrina holds a master's degree in Christian counseling and certification in both life and executive functioning coaching. She brings 6 years of mental health crisis management, 7 years of educational life coaching, and 4 years of leadership development. Sabrina L. Donegan works to support, inspire, and partner with individuals in embracing and living a life of gratitude after grief and trauma. So please give her a warm welcome as she comes to the Zoom stage to lead us tonight.
Welcome, sis. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Y'all, I am trying to make sure my setup is good because I want to be able to see y'all, but also like do my PowerPoint. So I'm kind of on 2 devices. So sis, I think you gave me permission to share. Okay, perfect. Give me 1 second, y'all, so I can share my screen, and then I'm gonna be right with y'all. Okay, there we go. Okay, I always have to wait and do this. All right. There we go. Can everybody see what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right. All right. So I am honored to be here tonight with y'all. You know, when my sister Tafanya asked me to be a part of her challenge, I was nervous, but I was also honored because I'm always nervous when I have to speak to someone else's platform, and I just want to make sure that I always honor that platform and I always honor God in everything that I do. So she has given you sort of my professional bio. I wanted to just add a few things and facts about myself as an author, a coach, and a speaker. First of all, I'm just a lover of Jesus, y'all, and a lover of people, right? So I have published 2 books, one in 2018 and one in 2022. The first one was more about my salvation story. So it was really just a story about my salvation and how I came to God and how I was able to just overcome some of the traumas of my past in order to make sure that I was living the life that God has called me to live. And then in 2022, after I had gone through a couple of things, I came out with a guided journal, okay? So both of these really, y'all, was really just like a therapeutic grief project for me. I didn't really intend to like build, you know, a platform from it, but we always know that God has a plan for us and everything that we do. So that's it. That is what happened. But she talked about me, you know, being a life coach, and I serve as a life coach as well as an ADHD coach. So I have certification in both of those areas. And I serve as a life coach in helping individuals live a life of gratitude after they have experienced both grief and trauma, and or either or. but also as an ADHD coach, in my daytime life, I serve as an administrator for a college access program. And so I support students on their pathway to post-secondary education as well as careers. So I've been doing this for a while, and I've been able to utilize my own experiences, but also just my educational knowledge that I received with my master's and things of that nature. So in addition to all of the, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, y'all, I'm super random. Like anybody that is a friend of mine or a family member of mine know that I am such a random person. And I think this is important for me to tell y'all who I am, because when someone comes before you and speak to you, you want to know who it is. You want to make sure they're qualified to say what they have to say, but we want to also make sure that, you understand who that person is. So I am super random. Y'all, I will break out into a song at any time of the day, at any moment, because I just think their life is a musical and there is a song for every moment in life. Okay. So if I just so happen to break out in songs tonight, I've already told y'all ahead of time that I'm super random and I just break out in songs. More importantly, I love to laugh. I love being an aunt, y'all. I have 12 nieces and nephews. I love being an aunt. And then I love cookies. I am like a self-made cookie monster. Like, y'all, I just really, really love cookies. Okay. So let's get started, right? So grief and gratitude. How do these two words fit together? So we see grief throughout the Bible, right? We see it with Job, we saw it with David, we see it with Jesus, and just a few other people. Each time we see grief in the Bible, though, we also see the pathway to gratitude. We see the process that each person has gone through that leads them to the place that 1 Peter 1, 6, and 7 talks about. And it says, you rejoice in this, even though now for a short time, if necessary, you suffer grief in various trials, so that the proven character of your faith, more valuable than gold, which though perishable is refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So before we move in further, sis, is it okay if we say a word of prayer?
Of course, please.
Okay. All right. Father God, we thank you for this time, Lord. We thank you for Sophia and the Lit Productions community, Lord. We thank you that you gave her this vision for this Own It challenge. And we thank you for allowing her to allow me to come into this space to speak to your people. Lord, I ask that you speak to me and that every word that comes out of my mouth be to bring you praise, honor, and glory. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Amen. I meant to get that out the way in the beginning, but it's okay. All right. So as I was saying in we just read 1 Peter. So one of the things a few things I want to highlight that 1 Peter sort of highlighted for me was grief shows us the areas in our life that needs refining. Okay. Grief makes us useful to God. And then grief gives us confidence that God must have a greater plan for our lives. Now, if you had asked me probably 4 years ago if I would be up in here telling you that I found anything good out of grief, I probably wouldn't be on this stage for you today. But, that's the whole purpose of this, is that God works through us, right? And he helps us to get to a place of growth and accountability, right? My sis, the growth and accountability coach, that's what she talks about. That's what she preaches. And so that's what we want to continue to move forward with. So I want y'all to do a really quick exercise. So if everybody has a piece of paper and a pen, I want you to make a T-chart or just a line down the middle of your page. If you want to do a T-chart, you can. If you want to do a line down the middle of your page, you can do that as well. Okay. And I want you in the first column I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Okay. And Miss Angel or Tafanya, one of y'all want to get this timer for me once I say go? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna give you 60 seconds for the first column, and then I'm gonna give you 60 seconds for the second column, right? But for the first column, I want you to write down everything that is going well in your life. And you can go ahead and start the, wait, y'all ready? Give me some thumbs up. I don't want to start and y'all not ready. I'm sorry.
Wait, give me 1 second. I'm trying to get ready.
Okay. Y'all, I'm used to being with my students and I'd be like, come on, let's go. So
okay,
y'all ready? Y'all want to give me some thumbs up? Let me know y'all ready to go. We'll move forward. Yes, I can. I said, so split your paper into two. You can either make a T-chart or you can just split it down the middle. T-chart is what Tafanya has. And you want to, and I'm gonna tell you what to do in each column. So once you have your columns on your page, the first column, you're going to, in 60 seconds, I want you to write down everything that is going well in your life. Okay, you may start the count, the countdown. Told y'all I had a song.
That's time.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so on the other side of your page, I'm going to give you another 60 seconds, and I want you to write down everything right now that is not going well in your life. All right, you can start the timer. Again with the money. Yeah, everybody love me. See, I don't be knowing where the songs come from, y'all. They just random. They just come up.
That's time.
All right. Okay. So I want you to take a look at your paper, and y'all can just quickly drop this in the chat. Tell me which list is longer, your well list or your not so well list. Which list is longer?
Okay. My well list is longer.
Yes, I'm seeing well list. Yes. Come on, we got some whole healthy people up in this Zoom today. I'm loving it. Well list. Okay, yes, I'm loving this. All right, perfect. So we gonna come back 7 to the good 3 to working on. Okay, yes. All right, perfect, y'all. So we gonna come back a little bit later to that list, but I want y'all to keep that in handy. But I'm so good that so far so good, right? Okay. Where is this? Let me go to the next page. For some reason, this is not going to, okay, there we go. All right, so what we're going to touch on today. One, just to kind of give you an overview of my journey to gratitude. We heard about it a little bit when Tafanya read my bio, but I want to give you a little bit of the nitty, right? And then we're going to talk about life after. What does that look like after you've gone through a period of grief and trauma? What does that look like? And then we're going to talk about how to get to that place. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of practical application. So my journey started sort of as she read in my bio when I was 3. At the time when I was 3, of course, I didn't understand that that's what I was going through. I just knew that, you know, my father was being arrested. And so anybody that has in my book, The Naked Truth, A Journey from Pain to Purpose, I talk extensively about not only that experience, but just that relationship with my father in general, of how that one experience at 3 years old sort of started the trajectory that we were on of this like roller coaster relationship, right? Up until the time that he passed away in 2015. And I really want to say that, and again, I talk about it a little bit in my book, a lot in my book, actually, that's actually the first chapter. So I just want to be when I come in hot, like, boom, here you go, here go the information. So when you read it, don't be mad that I'm coming in hot. It does get better, okay? So I talk about how that experience really shaped this relationship that we began to have, of this in and out type situation, him in and out. And that was with his own battles, with his own struggles and things of that nature. But I always say that, you know, I was glad that when he passed away, I did what God had told me to do in that relationship, and that was to ensure that I was always available and always open to building that. So keep that in mind, that as you are going through this journey of gratitude, that there are going to be times in your life where you're uncomfortable, and God is going to ask you to do certain things, even while you're grieving, in order to get you to that place of gratitude, okay? So then, you know, so I talk about that, and then I go into the story of my sister who passed away when I was 13. Now, when I wrote the book Naked Truth, that was the first time that I had publicly addressed my sister's death. Like, friends who had known me for years hadn't even known the details of that. And that was because in that experience, again, as a 13-year-old, you don't really understand maybe everything that's going on. But I had decided that that was going to be locked away at a safe place in my heart. So I wasn't going to give anybody the opportunity or the key to that particular place within my heart. But what I was doing, not realizing, is that I was keeping myself from being fully and completely whole because I refused to allow myself to address this. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was a traumatic experience. You know, my sister drowning in front of me and me being the person having to make the call to my parents and all of these different things. But when you go through a period of trauma, if you don't allow that to come out, you don't speak about it, you don't talk about it, then you can never get to a place where you're going to heal from it, okay? So then in 2018, so of course, before we get up to 2018, I had other experiences. I talk about, you know, the abortions that I had, the legal trouble that I had, all of these different things that's playing into this role of grief and trauma, right? And me just kind of, y'all, moving through life. Like sometimes, and I'm sorry if there's anybody on here who's not Black, but me, I'm a Black woman, that's part of my identity. And we've been taught that you just got to keep moving, right? Like, life takes you through things, but you just keep moving. You keep focusing like, oh girl, that happened, but we're going to keep it popping, right? That's the type of culture I grew up in, the type of family I grew up in. It was always about continuing to move forward. But the reason why that is harmful, because when you don't address issues, you don't have room for God to do the work that he needs to do. We talked about in 1 Peter 1 that it's a refining process, right? But how can you be refined if you never go through the fire? And you can't go through the fire if nobody know that you need to go through the fire, okay? So it's like we have to be open and willing to share our experiences in order for God to be able to make a way for it. So, we get up to 2018 and my mother passes away. And y'all, this was really like, there was already a crack in my foundation, but y'all, this broke the windshield. You know how you driving down the highway, you got that little crack that you done had in your windshield for about 2 years, and you like, I'm gonna get it fixed, and you never get it fixed, and finally something hit that windshield and that mug shattered. That was pretty much me, right, when my mom passed. And I think people think of it in a way of like, oh, that's her mom, they understand, but a few things happen, and I want to talk to you a little bit about those few things that happened, right? So I had been living away from home since 2010. I had moved away. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I had moved away, decided that I'm the youngest of 6. I need to fly. I'm a bird. I need to fly my wings. I was in a cage, so I left. And didn't think that I would be gone for as long as I was, but I was gone from 2010 to 2017 permanently outside of the years that I was in college. So in 2018, I was living in North Carolina, and I had a good life in North Carolina, y'all, a really good life, a strong support system, a strong just church that I was a part of, well, for a minute, and then but that's a whole nother story. We ain't gonna talk about that today. But I had a very, very strong support system, right? But things started happening with me professionally in North Carolina that was sort of preparing me for this transition that I was going to make. So in 2017, I get a call from my mom saying, hey, they found this cancer, is in stage 1. We're going to do surgery, and then it's going to be okay. So I fly home, we do the surgery, we take care of her for a week, and she got a clean bill of health. No cancer, no nothing, everything good to go. But when that happened, that my mom, a strong woman, right? Like, I probably can tell you, I've seen my mama cry maybe 3 times in my whole entire life. And just, again, kind of being raised as a teen mom and growing up and all of these different things, of being a single mom of 6 kids and losing her child so young and all of these things, she was not someone who would say, like, I need support, I need you. So when she had this surgery and she told me, like, baby, I need you to come home, I was on the flight to go, right? So God started dealing with me in that sense, and I was like, let me move back home. So I moved back home to, let me take that back. I didn't move back home because I was like, God, I'm gonna move closer. See, this is what happens. God tells us to do something, and we say, here, what we gonna do instead, right? So he said, move back home. I said, I ain't gonna move back home, but I'm gonna move close enough so that I can drive home. So I moved 3 hours away from home, right? And I remember, interviewing for jobs. I had a lot of different job offers coming at the time. I was interviewing anything that was within like the 3 to 4 hour drive to home. So I get a job, I get to a city, and literally I put out Naked Truth in March of 2018. I think maybe a week or so before I left North Carolina. I moved to North Carolina April 1st. My mom gets sick in 2 weeks after Mother's Day, which was in May. And then in June, she passes. So literally within a 3-month time period, I've uprooted my life. I've put out a book. My mother gets sick, and then my mother dies, right? I was already struggling, y'all, with just faith because some things had happened in North Carolina with church. I had left a relationship that I thought was going to lead to marriage. Y'all know how we do. Sometimes we think stuff happened, again, not listening to God, and that didn't happen. So I was like, ooh, okay. So I was really already sort of in this fragile state, right? My windshield was already cracked. And when my mom passed, what shattered it was because my mom was the foundation of my faith, right? So when I think about how I came to the Lord, it was through my mother, and so everything I knew about faith and the Bible and all of this stuff was through her. And so when that happened, I was like, well, shoot, she gone. Well, I guess God gone too. That was just kind of how I saw things. And so I struggled with being committed. I struggled with understanding what was going on. And I've never really been one of those people. And like I said, my mom is who taught me a lot about God. She's never been one of those people to tell me, oh, well, you can't question God, baby. She was always like, look, if you got questions, you need to ask. Don't be going around here being blissfully ignorant. Like, ask the questions. And so I kept asking, like, why? Why would you show me her being healed? Why would you show me this? Why would you show me that? Why would you have all of these different things for me and you not heal my mom, right? So I went through that year, pretty much just decided I was going to do what I wanted to do. Like, you didn't heal my mama, so you go sleep on the couch, right? So God slept on the couch for probably a good 2 years. At this time, I was already in therapy because I had chosen to seek out therapy 2 years prior to that for just other issues that I was dealing with, mental health and things like that. So I was in therapy. But y'all, my therapist, and thank God for her, she was such a patient woman and she was a woman of God. So I thank God that even 2 years prior, I had got someone who was of faith, who was a believer, because she really worked with me, y'all. I was so angry, like so angry. Every day I woke up, I wanted to punch a hole in the wall or a hole in somebody, like just so angry. And I remember her saying to me, Sabrina, what good happened today? Like I told y'all, make the list. She said, Sabrina, let's make a list. Tell me some good things that happened today. I was like, nothing. She's like, nothing good happened? No, girl, nothing happened. My mom and dad, I hate my job. I hate this city. I'm by myself. What you mean? What good didn't happen? And she literally was like, okay, well, let's think about it like this. Did you wake up this morning? I'm like, yeah, that don't mean I wanted to though. Like everything, it was like, did you wake up? Yeah, I woke up. That don't mean I wanted to wake up. Well, did you have food on your table? Yeah, girl, but it wasn't what I wanted. It was always something else, right? Because that was the state of mind that I was in. And I remember, as the time go on, I continue to just deal with this grief and deal with God. And I stopped talking to him and praying for over a year, y'all. When I say I didn't utter a prayer for over a year, like I refused. I didn't pray over my food. I didn't pray before I went to bed. I didn't pray before I got in the car, nothing. I refused to do it because I was just that angry. And I had a turning point, and I'm trying to not be long-winded, but I think it's important for y'all to kind of understand, right? But I had a turning point where I had a dream of my mom. And for those of you that don't know, that's one of the gifts that God has given me is visions and dreams. And so I had this dream, and she tells me that she got this house on the beach, y'all. And she says, baby, she said, I got this house on the beach. It's the best house I ever seen. She's like, oh my God, it's everything that we talked about. It's everything that we dreamed it would be. And she said, and I was like, really? I'm talking back to her. I'm like, really, mama? I'm like, I want to come. And she's like, no, it's not your time. No, it's not your time. She said, promise me you won't come before your time. And it was as if something clicked in me. And that was the turning point for me getting to this place of gratitude in my life and in my grief journey. Just that one dream. So I say all that to say that gratitude is not about how we feel in the moment, but recognizing where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So I did realize at the time when my therapist was asking me to think about the things that are going good in my life, that she was trying to get me out of what I was feeling in that moment. I was feeling angry, but that doesn't mean that nothing good was going on in my life. I had a job, y'all. Like I had a job that was paying me more money than I've ever made before. Like I wasn't living on the street. I didn't have all these things. And I know some people look at that and they may say, oh, well, okay, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, right? It's a big deal because there's somebody who doesn't have those things. And it was a big deal because when you're in a place mentally and emotionally where every single day that you breathe the breath of life, that's a moment to be grateful, because there was moments, y'all, in that state of grief where suicide was an option for me, where homicide was an option for me, where I was willing to throw away 15 years of abstinence, right? Because I needed to feel like something was in my control. So when you're on this place of gratitude, it's not about how you feel, right? But it's about looking at those things in your life that says, okay, this is a reminder that at one time, something was going good in my life. At one time, something was going good. So that's a reflection that if at one time it was going good, that it may go good again. So having that hope and that faith that what you knew before could potentially happen again. So grief and gratitude is embracing the pain of grief while also appreciating the gift of gratitude. So gratitude is not about replacing your grief, right? So sometimes I think people hear that and they're like, oh, you just want me to give up everything that I'm grieving about. No, it's not about replacing your grief. What it is about is putting your grief into subjection under the authority of God. Because at the end of the day, God didn't change, right? He didn't change. And we talked about in 1 Peter 1:6, like the grief was for a purpose. It was to prove, to refine us, right? What did we say? That grief was to show us the areas in our life that was to refine us. It was to make us useful. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to y'all about my experience. So God used this grief for me to be able to come and talk to you about my experience. So he's making me useful, right? And then it was to give me confidence that God had a greater plan. That greater plan, y'all, I started to see that when my mom told me in my dream, like we talk about heaven, but she told me, baby, this is more than we could ever imagine. This is more than we thought it would be. And I believe that the house on the beach was it because, y'all, I love the beach. Oh my God, that's like my place of solitude. So you see how God was using, he was like, this is your place of solitude. This is the person that you love the most. And I put those two things together to show you that I have a greater plan for you, right? And then grief and gratitude is being okay with grief, but opening up the door to gratitude. So going back to when my therapist was saying, like, hey, Sabrina, like, tell me what's going good. I didn't even want to open that door, y'all. I was like, girl, I don't want to hear what you got to say. But sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what? I got up this morning. I'll breathe. And so I had to start taking those little steps, right? And saying, y'all, I didn't punch nobody at work today. Like literally that started to be my gratitude moments that I went to work and I didn't put my hands on nobody. I was gonna go have sex with this man. And I had a friend who called me like, boo, don't do it. Please don't do it. So again, like looking at those moments that may not seem like they're gratitude moments, but seeing those as the thing, right? So we also talk about gratitude. It puts our pain in perspective, right? Because pain can do two things. It's going to prevent you or it's going to propel you. So it's either going to prevent you from moving forward or it's going to propel you forward, right? So you have to decide what you're going to do. You have to decide, what am I going to do with this pain? At first, y'all, that pain was preventing me from doing anything, honey, because I told y'all, God was sleeping on the couch. I wasn't praying. I wasn't doing nothing. But now I'm allowing that pain. I still feel the pain of my mom being gone, my sister being gone, my dad being gone, all of these different things. But now I'm allowing it to propel me into the plan that God has created for my life, right? And then gratitude keeps us accountable. It keeps you accountable because it says, girl, going back to, is something good going on in your life? Look at your list, right? How many of those things that are going right on your list is because you were being accountable to either what God told you to do, what you said you were going to do, or what you've been tasked to do, right? So that accountability comes in all of those different ways and allows you to say, oh, this is going really well because I've been accountable to what I've been given. I've been stewarding that well. I've been accountable to what the Lord told me to do. I've been accountable to what I said that I was going to do. Tafanya talked about yesterday, what are you responsible for, right? So those things that are going well on your list, were they because you were responsible and being accountable in the things that you were supposed to do. So when we talk about life after grief and gratitude, right? What is that? Is gratitude unlocks the door to your growth and healing. And I mentioned earlier that with my sister, I kept that so hidden and so locked away that I wasn't able to really process and fully process my feelings around it because I wouldn't allow anybody into that space in my life. And I'm gonna be completely 100% honest, y'all, because one thing y'all gonna know about me is I try to tell the truth as much as possible. That's still a very hidden place, right? That only so many people have access to, because again, it was still a very, very traumatic experience for me, right? So it's still very a very sensitive, right? And a very vulnerable place for me to go talking about my sister. I can talk about my mom and my dad a lot more than them because I was older, you know, and I had a lot more maturity and wisdom under my belt. But that one is still very vulnerable and such a vulnerable place for me. But I had to eventually unlock that door in order to get to a place of growth and healing within this gratitude journey. And whether you choose to unlock that door to a therapist, the way that I did, you choose to unlock that door to a spouse or to a friend, unlock that door to somebody. I will pray and hope that you unlock that door to God and allow him to do the work in you. Okay. So when you're thinking about life after gratitude, after grief and gratitude, and how to live this life of gratitude, you need to understand that gratitude is about your capacity. People hear gratitude and they think that we want you to walk around waking up every day being happy and saying, oh, yes, I'm happy. I got the joy of the Lord. And no, it's about what do you have the capacity to do? Right? What do you have the capacity to be thankful for, to be grateful for? For me, I had the capacity to not go to work and put my hands on somebody. That was gratitude. Listen, because I could have went to jail. I could have lost all my credentials. I could have done all of these other things. So what do you have the capacity to do when you are going through your grief? It could be, hey, I have the capacity to go and pray today. I didn't have that capacity yesterday, right? I have the capacity to go and serve somebody. I didn't have that yesterday. So it's really about understanding what your ability to do and what you can and do. And I put live, love, and serve because I feel like this is the purpose of us being on this earth, right? To live a life that's pleasing to God, to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, and to serve, right? So I want y'all to remember this when you're thinking about how to stabilize that foundation, right? Going back to that windshield, how to stabilize that, because that's what's going to help you understand how to get to this place of gratitude. Live to your capacity, right? And when I'm saying live to your capacity, I mean live like every day is a day that you don't know if it's going to be your last day, right? Grief is inevitable. If you haven't gone through a journey of grief, you will. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm not saying that to upset you. I'm telling you what's the truth, right? I just said at the beginning of this, grief is all through the Bible, right? That was a consequence of the fall of Adam and Eve, that we were going to experience this. So it's inevitable. You're going to experience it. But if you live your life in a way, into capacity, when it comes, you're in a better position to understand what's going on in your life, right? Love, y'all love like you have never loved before. When I tell you that my experience with grief changed how I love people, it changed how I love in such a way. Like I thought I was a person who loved before, but I really I learned love in a completely different way. And the reason why is because when I lost my parents, right, I always say I became an orphan at 30. For me, when my mom passed, I was like, Lord, I was so angry because I said, Lord, this was my last tangible example of unconditional love. I'm not a mother yet, so I don't have children. So I said, this was my last tangible example of unconditional love. So I no longer have anybody that loves me unconditionally. Like, how can I trust you to do that when every example I had on earth is now gone? And it was not so much about somebody loving me unconditionally, but me loving other people. So I began to love to my capacity, y'all. Like, I have my niece, she's 3 years old. She's my godchild. She's also my niece. And when I tell you this little girl, like, and I'm sure any mothers here can probably attest to this, like, kids test your boundaries of love. Like, they make you stretch your love to a different level that you have never done. And I'm just like, when she came, my sister was pregnant with her when my mother passed away. And this had been the child that, when I say we pray for this baby, we had prayed for this baby. Like, this was the child that my mom had told my sister, you're going to have this child. This was the child that God gave me dreams was going to come. So when she came, my mom passed in June, she came in October. And it just, y'all, the love that I felt for this child was like I had birthed her myself. And she has now, at 3 years old, y'all, she be testing me. She be testing my patience. But when I say that it taught me how to love unconditionally to people, because as the young child, you so used to everybody loving you, but it taught me how to love unconditionally and not just expect people to love me. And then serve. Y'all, my mom was a servant. Like, she was a servant. She served her entire life. And service and how that compares to gratitude is that when you give to other people, it creates this feeling in you that's like, it's not all about me. It's not all about me. So one of the things that I began to do is I created a grief project. I told y'all my books were my grief project, but I also created a grief project where I was giving things to hygiene and basic need products to people who needed them in the inner city St. Louis. So how we came up with this is, y'all, when we went to go clean out my mom's house, y'all, we found, oh my God, I think Jess is on here and I think she was with us when we were cleaning out the house, and we found books of like boxes of like school supplies, of hygiene products, and all of these different things, right? And I'm just like, girl, why did she have this stuff? Like, why did she have this? But that was because that was the type of person that she was. Like, she would literally see a kid on the street and be like, do you need a notebook for school? Do you need pencils? Do you need crayons? And I wanted to make sure that I was serving, right? I wasn't serving because my church told me you need to be the youth Bible study leader or the singles ministry leader, so you need to serve. No, I'm serving because that is my capacity to give what God has given me to serve other people. Okay, so again, when you're thinking about capacity, thinking about living to capacity, love to your capacity, and serving to your capacity, right? And that's how you begin to develop this life of gratitude. Now, appreciating the gift. Y'all, there's a song by Matt Redman. When I first heard it, I was just like, oh my God, I just busted out crying. And it says, on the road marked to suffering, though there is pain in the offering, blessed be the name. And that was so powerful to me, because what it lets me know and what it reminds me is that even in my grief, God is still with me, y'all. Like, I thought he had left me. That's why I told him to go sit on the couch. I was like, you like the husband that's in the doghouse. You about to be in this doghouse, okay? Because I was like, you didn't hear me. You didn't answer me. You didn't do this. But remember, I told y'all that gratitude puts your pain in perspective. And so sometimes when our pain is out of perspective, we have to find somewhere to put that blame. And we have to be like, but you did this or you did that. Even when you're talking in relationship with people, because you are in pain, your perspective is off, and you can't always understand where the other person is coming from or what the other person is doing, because you're so focused on that pain, right? But gratitude puts that pain into perspective so that you can say, I'm hurting, but yet still blessed be the name of the Lord. Okay.
Sis, they want to know the name of the song.
okay, this is one thing y'all gonna learn too. I love songs, but I don't be knowing lyrics and I don't be knowing titles. But I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna get it for you, baby. I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna get it. Y'all, I don't be knowing lyrics. I be like, but I know a chorus. I know a good chorus, but I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna get it for you. Remind me of that, Tiff, and we'll send it out. But how do you appreciate the gift? Y'all find a new hobby. So one of the things that I started doing, so my mom passed in 2018. Y'all know the pandemic happened in 2020. I was still very much on this grief journey, y'all. So one of the things I've always wanted to do was I wanted to be an artist because that was something that I couldn't do. I wanted to learn how to draw. I wanted to learn how to paint, all of these different things. And that came from when I was 4 years old, y'all. I got my first D in school from my art teacher, and that devastated me. That devastated me that my art teacher gave me a D because I didn't know how to draw stick figures. So I found a new hobby, y'all, and I started painting every single thing that I could. Y'all, I started painting, and actually a friend of mine, because she saw that I was really getting into painting, I did those color by numbers, canvases. I ain't drawing none of them now, but I was doing it. Because coloring, like in a coloring book, it used to give me really, really bad anxiety. So I thought painting was going to be better. But she created a paint by number, which was a picture of me and my mom. I still have yet to finish it, but she did that for me because she noticed that I had found this new hobby of painting, right? In appreciating the gift, you learn to dance in the rain. Y'all, the storm is going to come. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
But dance in it, y'all.
Yeah.
It's okay. Dance in the rain. Mm-hmm. It's okay I love like when I see the rain come down sometimes. It's okay to do that, right?
Yeah.
Choose wisely. When you're choosing, when I say choose wisely, choose the people who you want to go on this journey with you.
Yes.
Because everybody is not going to be good for your gratitude journey, right? Yeah. Some people you're going to have to be like, I'm going to leave y'all in this grief because, baby, you can't come on this journey with me. Why? Because sometimes people don't understand. Mm-hmm. So you need to choose wisely. For me, I chose wisely when I had a therapist and when I shared certain aspects of my journey with certain people.
Yeah.
Don't apologize for where you are.
Yes.
Like, you're going to feel so many different emotions. You're going to go through so many different things. And that's okay. Don't apologize for that. Don't apologize for crying. I had a bad habit of like, oh my God, I'm about to cry. I'm so sorry I'm crying. Like, nah, I'm crying, y'all. Shoot, bump this. I can cry. Like, don't apologize for crying. And then look for the rainbow. And I always say, look for the rainbow because it reminds me of God's promise to Noah, right? That he would never, ever flood the earth again. He would never destroy the earth through the flood. And that reminds me that God promises that I need to live on his promises. So look for the rainbow, meaning look for God's promises, okay? Now, here's your practical application. So the first thing you want to do is do what brings you joy. What makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
What makes you happy? For me, y'all, it was different things at different moments. For the first year, I traveled. Like, I was going everywhere. I went to Oakland to see Tiff. I went back to North Carolina. I was in Baltimore. I was gone, y'all. I was just traveling. And I was spending money. Now, don't tell none of the financial people that I told y'all to spend money. That's not what I said. I said, do what brings you joy. And what was bringing me joy at that time was spending money. Y'all, I spent like $3,500 in a month. Don't do that, y'all. But that's what was bringing me joy at the time. Find something else to bring you joy. I see people talking about, I love ice cream. Yeah, get you some ice cream. Y'all, I gained like 50-something pounds because I was eating cookies. I told y'all I love cookies. But do what brings you joy. You can get all of that other stuff later, okay? You can figure all of the spending money and do all of that. You can do that later. Connect to your source, right? My source for me was God, right? I had to get back to that source, but that's what I'm telling y'all what I had to do, right? Connect to your source, whatever that source is for you. For me, that source was back to the Lord, back to prayer, back to the word of God. Once I reconnected, I began to see that gratitude happen for me, right? Embrace your emotions. Feel what you feel while you heal. Okay.
Feel what you
That means you're going to go through so many different things, and it's okay. It's okay. Feel what you feel while you heal, right? So if you feeling sad, feel sad. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. If you want to dance, dance. Whatever it is you want to do, give yourself permission to embrace those emotions and feel how you want to feel.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is to get comfortable in your new normal.
Yeah.
I hear so many people talk about, well, I don't know what to do because I normally would do this or I normally would do that. Your normal change. When you go through grief, everything about your life changes, right? Everything about what you used to do, that's not who you are anymore.
Yeah.
Your traditions change, your life change. What you used to do for Christmas, you don't do no more. Y'all, I used to go and call my mom. My mom's birthday is usually the day after Mother's Day, so y'all be praying for me this weekend. But her birthday is typically the day after Mother's Day, and we had traditions that we did. I would go to church with her. We would do all of these things. I don't have that anymore. So I had to figure out a way now to celebrate Mother's Day, to celebrate. And I have sisters, I have friends who are mothers. So I choose to celebrate them. You know, I may not have mine with me, but I'm like, let me celebrate other people who are. So I may send out my little text messages. I may not respond if you take that, but I'm gonna send it out, let you know I'm thinking of you. I love you. I do this. So get comfortable in whatever that normal looks like, whatever that new kind of routine. Your routine may change. You may say, I used to get up at 6. Well, listen, you may not want to get up at 6. You may want to get up at 9. You got up. You got up. So get comfortable in that and not feel like you have to go back to who you used to be or what you used to do. Okay. So I want to go back to your list, right? Before we end, I want to go back to your list. Now, everybody I think who on here told me that they had most of the well was the larger of the list, which is great. So what I want you guys to do is circle something on that list that says this is not going well. And I want you to write one action step on how you can move that to the next list. So if you said what's not going well is my car messed up, what's one thing you can do to move that to the next list? And you don't have to share that with me. I want you to write that down. You may need some time to think about it. You may need some time to process, and that's okay. Okay. Now, the reason why I want y'all to practice that is because that's how gratitude starts. It starts by taking one step towards doing something different than what wasn't working before. Okay. So take.
Oh, sorry.
Tiff, I think you're not muted.
Sorry.
Taking one step, right, that you didn't take before today to get yourself to that place. All right. So y'all, I hope that y'all have learned something on today. I hope that I have given you something to take away with. I hope that I have given you an opportunity to find areas in your life where you can find gratitude and to inspire you that regardless of where you are in your grief journey, if you have experienced it, if you've never experienced it, that there is life after grief and trauma, okay? So if you desire to connect with me after today, I have put my contact information on the screen. I am I am on both Facebook and Instagram as Sabrina L. Donegan, and my website is sabrinaldonegan.com. I have truly, truly enjoyed being with you ladies on tonight. Sis, thank you. I actually have something for each one of y'all. It's a gratitude roadmap that I am going to send out. Tafanya is going to send that out to you all when she sent out the replay. So when you get your email about the replay, the link to the gratitude map is going to be there. I hope that that resource will be helpful to you to keep in mind and to keep gratitude as a practice in your life. Thank y'all